Uh-oh. Hang on. What happened? All right. Um, I don't know. Okay. Oh, it just changed again. Hang on, guys. Sorry about that. This is funny. It keeps wanting to change cameras. There we go. Awesome. Hey! How's everybody doing? It's Will. I am the BowTie Sober Guy. Glad to be here with you guys on this, what day? Thursday, or is it August? Actually, Paula shared that with me that she had someone say that the other day because all these days are running together and they're just crazy because our normal lives aren't normal anymore. But hey, I know it's Thursday. I'm so excited to be here with you guys and sharing BowTie Living and talking a little bit about communities. You know, that word is changed. The meaning of it has changed here pretty dramatically in how we define and how we look at community over the last couple of weeks. And for all of us, I don't know that many people are immune to it. You know, I know that there's some people that still, essential workers for essential companies that have to go to work and that kind of thing. And they probably still have a little bit of community around their work environment. But there's not many. A lot of us really are stuck at home, or we're supposed to be stuck at home. And at least that's the way it is here in Colorado. And from my understanding, there's a lot of other places like that. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight and sharing a little bit about community and what that means. And I'll share a little bit at the end about BowTie Living in the new community that I launched earlier. If you saw that on Facebook, that is now live, and I'm pretty excited about that. But I wanted to talk to you about kind of the importance of community in today's world. You know, we're living in unprecedented times to where we are, stranded in our homes. Not stranded, that's not the right word, but we're asked to stay in our homes with the exception of running to doctors or the store. If you want to go outside once a day to walk your animal, I'm assuming a dog, but not necessarily. There's cats. I have a friend who has a rabbit. I don't know if they walk their rabbit, but getting outside, and Paul and I even today took a walk, and at the end of the day, and there were people out and about and around, but it was funny to have that experience when you're crossing someone in the path or going by them, and how everybody would choose which side they're on, and they would move apart, and it was actually really kind of interesting to see how people are dealing with that and following the direction of what our government has told us to do. And I'm not going to get into all the political or social, all that kind of stuff. I'm here to talk about communities, the importance of it, and what it looks like today, and what it looks like for you today. Because we've had social media, and this was supposed to be something that was going to commute or really create communities for us to be a part of, and it has. I mean, it really has. That's I'm relying on Facebook with BowTie Living and some other things that I'm doing, but community is important for us as human beings. We need to have that connection. It was really funny. I'm part of a group, and we had a meeting last night. We had to have it virtually, of course, and it was kind of a business meeting for our group, and it was really interesting. There was 6 or 7 of us that were attending the group meeting, and thanks, Scott. The hair or the bow tie is sexier. Well, I appreciate it. I work hard on both, Actually, I have to be completely honest tonight. This is not a self-tied one. This is one of the ones that I do own that is a pre-tied one. So if you want to call it a clip-on, call it a clip-on. That's fine. But anyways, we had this meeting last night, this business meeting for a group that I'm a part of, and it was really interesting. It was the first time kind of since all of this has happened that we all were able to get together at one point in time and get together on a call together. And we haven't seen each other for, I don't know, at least 2 weeks probably. And a couple of us had seen each other virtually or talked on the phone, but it was really cool. We actually had probably one of the best meetings that we ever had. And it was by far, since I've been part of the group, the most productive, where we actually got some things done. So it was kind of interesting. We were all laughing about it at the end of the meeting about how we were able to get so much done. And here we were sitting in all of our own locations, doing what I'm doing now, just talking over the computer. It was really, really interesting. But it was cool because I think one of the things that I noticed about that was that because of where we're at, we do have less interaction. And that when we do get that interaction, even though it's over a screen like this, I think the face-to-face is really key to that. And being seen, and also being able to see other people. It brings joy to our hearts. It gives us a sense of better belonging than just on the phone. Or, what's the worst, right? We pick up this and we send everything via text message. And so it really gave us the opportunity. And, it's really sidebar, is it's really interesting how many people are getting really good at online meetings. And etiquette and all those kinds of things. So it's kind of a cool thing. And I think one of the things that's going to come out of all of this is, as a world, we're going to learn a whole lot more about how to use technology in a positive manner, in a really good manner, not relying on it necessarily, but how to use it in our everyday lives in a much more meaningful way. And that's actually pretty exciting. So anyways, back to community. So, I thought that was interesting though last night, how we sat there at the end of the meeting. We were just all excited about how awesome it was to see each other and how much work we were able to get done actually on Zoom, on this platform that is a virtual meeting platform. So it was really, really cool. And so I was thinking about community today, and I was thinking back to when social media first came on the scene, and it was MySpace. Everybody remember MySpace, right? I don't even know if I had a MySpace. I might have. But Facebook took over the world and all of the social media. And now we've got others. We've got Instagram, Twitter, and, those are the big ones. But, it's interesting when you think about what's community and what does it really mean to us compared to just, say, groups of friends that we have. Because, I have friends that aren't necessarily part of a community, but they're friends of mine or they're acquaintances. But I remember when social media came out, and how many of you, when it came out and you invited everybody you knew, and there were all kinds of different tools back then too, where you could synchronize your calendar or your contacts, and everybody went through that, and all of a sudden I have 300, 400, 500, and I know people that have 4,000, 5,000 friends on Facebook. I certainly don't. But it was really interesting when you think about that, how this all started, and we thought it was cool to have the bigger number. Right? The more, how many friends do you have on Facebook? Oh, I'm at 350. Oh, I just broke 500. Can you believe that? Well, in reality, what kind of community is that? And I think we have to be careful with some of the social media that's out there, because we get sucked into communities that maybe aren't healthy. We get sucked into communities where we are living vicariously through others. You see that a lot with the Hollywood people. You see that a lot with athletes, people that have these huge followings because people think they want to be part of that community. But to me, community is much more than that. Community is actually a group of people that are like-minded, that want to come together and want to grow together in whatever it is. They want to support one another in whatever it is. There's communities for everything. I don't know if you've seen Facebook. They're running ads now for their Facebook groups like this, like I've done with BowTie Living. And, they have the one, what's probably one of my favorites is where they have the people playing the kazoos. And I'm sure that's a real group. I have no idea, but I'm assuming that it probably is. And there's groups for everything because it's like-minded people that have a common interest. And they can share those commonalities. And I think that's the thing about community that's different than just social media. Social media is great to see what's going on, share what's going on in your life, see what's going on in other people's lives. But it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't create a sense of community. And that's what I thought was missing. And especially because of my journey that I'm going through and I have been living over the last number of years, that I wanted to share that. I wanted to bring other people on board with that. Because I do know that especially in today's world, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. One of the new terms is unprecedented time, right? Well, and I don't know that it's unprecedented, but probably in our lifetime, it's unprecedented. But there's big changes going on. And so I think that it's important that we have groups of people that are going through the same things, are experiencing the same things, and want to support each other, get support others, grow, learn, and really just get through those times. But then once this is done and over and we're moving on and life is back to quote unquote normal, I think it's important to stay connected to those groups. It's kind of like, I don't know how many of you, when you graduate from high school and you stay connected to your high school class and your friends that you had and all of your classmates. But as time goes by, you lose contact with them. And it's interesting in the last few years how I've actually reconnected because of social media, been able to reconnect with some of those. But for a long time, I had really fallen away from that. And I think that's important about community, is that we come together and we stay together. And that doesn't mean you're always going to be in the same community, because our lives change, our lifestyles change, our interests change. All of those do. But I think it's important to have that community. Oh my gosh, what just happened again? That is so weird. I'm so sorry about that, people. That's weird. My camera keeps switching from my front camera to my back camera. Or whatever way you want to put it. So staying part of that community and not just making it a group of people that but actually a people that you grow, and that you grow with and that you help them grow. And that's really what BowTie Living was intended to do. It brings me back to, as I've shared with a lot of you on Facebook, is, one of my big challenges that I had in life was alcoholism. And I was one of the fortunate ones that was able to go through treatment 2.5 years ago or whatever it was. But it was interesting, and there's a lot of stats, and I don't know that I necessarily believe all those stats, but there's a lot of stats about people relapsing after treatment and not making it after treatment. And I have to say, the group of people that I was in there with, it was pretty amazing. We had a really tight-knit community. And even after being discharged and leaving there are a good number of us, and it's not like we talk every day, but there are a good number of us, because when we left, we stayed in close contact with each other. And we stayed there to support one another. We stayed there to help one another. We stayed there when we needed someone to call, to reach out to talk to about whatever was going on, or just someone to hang out with, because we created that community, that bond. And I think that's what's important, especially in today's world. And thank God we now have this technology that allows us to stay connected in a different way. I get it. It is different. It's not like being there face to face. It's not like giving someone a hug because you run into them at the grocery store or anything like that. So there is still a human touch and a human sharing component that's still missing. But we do have the ability, even in the time that we're in right now, and I think it's probably more important than ever, that we maintain the sense of community, that we stay together, and that we band together in this, and we get through it. Because there's all kinds of Bible verses that talk about that, about how when we come together, we are much stronger. And I wish I could remember. One of my favorites is talking about 3 strands being stronger than, 2 are stronger than 1 and 3 are stronger than 2. And it's so true when we come together in community, how much stronger we are and how much more we can get through. And, it's important to find those types of communities and really dive in. And I say dive in, and I think it's really a two-way street when it comes to community. There's a lot of people that I've met over the years that look at community as a way to receive and just take. And I don't like the word take necessarily, but really about just receiving. They're like a catcher on a baseball team. That catcher is just receiving. But I think in the end, again, kind of like a catcher, you still have to throw it back too. You gotta be able to give. So, community is all about the two-way street, and how do we make it so that in that community that we are not only receiving, but we're also sharing. And what's interesting in my recovery journey and the things that I've learned over the last few years about recovery, not just alcoholism, but just life in general. I've actually come up with my new term for my title, and what I do is I'm a life recovery coach. There's life coaches out there, there's recovery coaches, but I like to think of myself as a life recovery coach. And a life recovery coach understands that, there are things that come into our lives and that may take control. They may take control of us. They may not be. They may be unhealthy. They may be taking us down the wrong path. And that's what I want to help people through. And so the same thing can be said for communities, though. Communities are all about how do we get through challenges, or how do we hang out with people that like to play the kazoo together? Because I just love that commercial. I think it's awesome. And there are all kinds of different groups out there. There's probably a group for underwater basket weaving. I would bet. I've never looked it up, but there probably is. So it's pretty interesting. I've had, even in the last week or so, I've actually had some really cool experiences with online community. I've been doing, once I launched this business, I've been doing a lot more of trying to do networking and that kind of thing. What was really interesting is when I was putting all this together, I wasn't out there. I didn't have enough time to really go out and network. And then I got everything kind of almost up and running, and I decided I was going to start doing networking groups. And then coronavirus hit. And now all of a sudden, all the groups are all online. Not all of them. Actually, a lot of them aren't even doing online. They just have stopped meeting. But I did find this one group, and they have a number of different chapters and different meetings around the city of Denver. And I've been now to 3 of them, and they were amazing. They were absolutely amazing, because it's all small business owners, just like myself, and who are out there, and all they want to do is help each other grow their business. And, especially in today's environment where we're all being asked to do things differently, and we're all being put into different situations, and maybe uncomfortable situations, unknown situations. But they've now created this community where I felt like it after the first meeting with them, how I'm a part of it. And we actually have, and they encourage having one-on-one meetings, and they used to, of course, be over coffee, but now we do it all via Zoom. Or whatever virtual platform you use. Zoom has really come on strong and kind of been the go-to, at least here, what I've seen. Not saying it is. I was on one earlier tonight that was actually not Zoom. It was another company, but all it was Zoom co-branded with their name. It was, their product was actually powered by Zoom, so it was almost exactly the same as Zoom. But we have things like this. We have Facebook Live, right? We have different ways that we can communicate with community as well. And so it's really cool, though, to be able to find those types of groups out there, again, of people that are like-minded, and how important that is just to our everyday mental health and our emotional state. And being able to be a part of that and connect with those other people is extremely important. And I absolutely encourage you, find those groups, find whatever they are. And maybe it's a church group. Maybe it's a small group that you create at church. Maybe it's around something that you actually enjoy doing. There's some things that don't make sense, but you see it all over the internet now, where these people are doing, I saw it this morning, this Zumba instructor was doing a virtual Zumba class for her students, and she was in her backyard. She was outside in her backyard dancing around and doing Zumba, and she was streaming it live for her students. Because that's the kind of community that they wanted to be a part of. And there's all kinds of them out there. So I encourage you, find those. Use this time as a time to figure out what that is. What does that look like? Where can I go? What interests me? Where can I find like-minded people? Where can I find people that are interested in the same kind of thing? And become part of that community. Because the thing when I started BowTie Living, one of the things that I really wanted to create when it came to community was a place that brought a lot of things together, but really what it was a place that we could, as I say in my tagline, transform life's nuts. And I shared this, I think it was last week, about how I really feel it's crazy how the time we're in right now is really a mirror for a time that myself and my family went through back during the recession. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we did that. I wasn't grateful then. It was bad. And that was when my drinking really got bad and got heavy, and I turned into a full-blown alcoholic. But I'm grateful for that time, because now going through this, I get a chance to be able to walk through this time in our country, in our world, in a very different way and really experiencing a lot of the same things, a lot of the same things. It's crazy. When I say it's a mirror, there's a lot of the same things that are kind of going on, and a lot of synchronicity between that time and what's going on now. Just a different outside force. And so I'm pretty excited about that. And really, when I launched BowTie Living, that's what I wanted to do, not knowing that this whole coronavirus was going to happen, but really wanted to launch a business that was about helping others get through trying times. How do we transform life's knots into BowTie Living? And how do we take the challenges, the frustrations, the fears, the struggles, the addictions, if you have them, how do we take those things and transform them into something better, something great? One of my favorite little quips that I love to say is, how do we take our mess and turn it into his message? And his message is God's message. Because really, I wouldn't be here without that. And so I don't want to get into my whole story again. I've shared that with you guys just recently. But, you know, I wanted to, and that's the whole reason that BowTie Living was created, was that, you know, we all have life's knots. We all have knots that we are trying to get through and around and untangle in life. And unfortunately, we have a big one right in front of us now that is impacting a great number of us. And so I encourage you, whether it's joining BowTie Living's community, that's fine and that'd be great. But you know what? Even find something to get involved with, some sort of a community that you can get into. And again, maybe it's through church, maybe it's through one of the things that you enjoy doing, and you can find them on Facebook. You can probably go to Google and just type in whatever it is, marathon running community, marathon running groups, whatever. I'm sure that you could find all kinds of things. Or if you're big into fishing or hunting, or, you know, there's a lot of people right now that have kids at home and they're homeschooling. I know there's tons of support groups out there and different groups for parents that have to homeschool and how to do that, and just tie into them. Maybe you have some sort of a health and wellness type thing that you want to become a part of. You know, I'd love to have you over at BowTie Living's community, but I want you to go where is best for you and where you're going to get the best support, and really be able to not only get support, but also contribute support for others, because I think that that's important. That's one of the big lessons I've learned in my recovery journey, that I get way more when I give, and that's why I work with all kinds of different people on different things. I get phone calls, I get text messages, I get all kinds of different things, and just people looking for support through whatever it is. And I am so excited and happy that I have the ability today to be able to do that. And what's interesting is I get so much out of it, so much more out of it. So I encourage you, just from that perspective as well, find something, because we all need community. We're human beings. We were designed for community, and we are being challenged in a way that we've never been challenged before, as far as being able to connect with people.